Hey everyone, I'm MaryAnn. I'm a visual artist and voice coach from Singapore, currently in Singapore, and welcome to another installment of my weekly vlog series, Live Your Dream. So this is where I share what I'm learning in my journey so far as an artist, as a voice coach, as someone who is all about pursuing a worthy and meaningful purpose for myself and going after things that I'm passionate about, discovering what is it that really matters to me in this life and what is it that I really want to create. And I'm recording this series as a way of inspiring, encouraging, or motivating you as you go about on your journey of making your dreams come true, whatever that may be. And at the very least, you know that week after week, I will be here sharing something that I've learned this week in this journey, because it's really not an easy journey. And I think for most of us, we don't know a lot of people who are on a similar journey of pursuing something that really matters to them. And it can get really tough, it can get really lonely, and I think we all need some sort of encouragement or some sort of knowing that there are other people out there like that who are doing it as well. Even though intellectually we know that, but we may not actually know anyone like that. So I'm here to share my journey and my learnings. And yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the comments, or you can also directly message me through any one of my social media links, which are in write-ups attached to these videos. So this week I am once again going through a bit of a crisis, I guess. I go through all kinds of crises all the time. Usually some sort of existential thing, and then sometimes related to like what am I doing all this for? What am I even on this journey for? And yeah, so this week I am going through one of those things, and I think it's because I'm at a point now where I am on day 60 of my 100-day project, and it's reached a point now where I feel like I am just juggling way too many things, because most of my time right now is on this 100-day illustration project, because as I've shared before, they are taking way longer than I had thought. Plus I decided to write a poem for each of them as well, so imagine I've been writing 60 poems over the last 2 months, which is not usual for me at all. Like, I don't remember when's the last time I wrote a poem before this. But anyway, I reached a point now where I feel like I am trying to do too many things. And even with the voice coaching thing and being a singing instructor, at the same time, having to do my voice practices and exercises every day in order to ensure that I'm up to date, in coaching other people on their voice. And it's reached a point where I have started to slack off on that, because, the priority goes to the illustrations. And that made me start questioning, like, why am I doing all these things for? Why are my days so packed full of, task after task after task? Even this vlog and even the other vlog that I record as a voice coach as well, they have gone into my evaluation as to why I'm doing all these things. And I started to question, like, what is it really all for? And at the same time, I'm also rereading Mastery by Robert Greene. And one of the thoughts that have come to me now that I'm reading this book for the second time, and I'm starting to see that, when we're on a certain path and when we've decided that, this is the path that we're going to take in our lives, then I think there has to be a certain point where we have to be very clear what is off that path and what doesn't serve that path. And I know on a logical level, it sounds like it makes so much sense, right? It's like, yes, I'm on this path, I want to be an artist, so I should do all the things that would forward me towards my dream and my goal of being an artist, and stop doing all the things that don't forward me there. Like, logically, we kind of know that, right? But, when it comes to the actual doing of things, when it comes to the actual living of life, it's a totally different story. Because there's so many different factors in there. Like, for instance, if my dream is to be an artist, then at the same time I have to figure out also how am I going to pay the bills, because it's not something that, yes, I want to be an artist and then somehow my bills would magically get paid. I mean, if only that would happen, but clearly that's not the case. And so a lot of people who would have a dream, of being an artist, being a creative, they usually have to get some sort of a day job in order to pay the bills. Or they are working in a creative industry, but their day job in that creative industry isn't actually the thing that they really want to do the most. Like, a visual artist deciding to do graphic design as a day job in order to pay the bills. So it's still kind of related, but maybe not entirely related ultimately when they look at the thing that they really want to do. So then I think, what I started to realize is that I have to be very clear about where do I want to get to? What is this path that I want to walk? What is it that I really want to create? And not because all the other artists out there are doing this thing and therefore I have to follow what they're doing because that's the way it's supposed to be. I mean, the successful artists, of course, who are, making money off their art, just because they're doing things that way doesn't mean that it has to be me. Like, for instance, there are artists out there who are making a great living selling their prints or selling, or licensing their work or doing commissions of their work. And that's great because, maybe they found their niche, maybe they found their thing and it has taken off for them. But then, when it comes to us as individuals, just because someone else is doing that and just because someone else has success in doing that thing doesn't mean that it applies to you as well. I mean, it definitely shows that it is possible. It definitely indicates that, hey, there's something that is worth exploring here. But that doesn't mean that, that's the only way forward. So for the past 2 months or so, I have been working on this 100-day illustration project, right? And I've been spending so much time on this series, way more time than I ever had on any other series of work that I've done. And in the process of every single day, almost every single day being in the studio working on these works, I get very present to a lot of the conversation that's going on in my mind. And one of the things that I started to see is that I keep criticizing my work. It's like I will do it and some parts I love and some parts I hate, but it's like, oh, I just have to get it done and, do the best that I can. And every single one of them, yes, I do it to the best that I can. But sometimes when I look at it, and I start thinking about I want to exhibit these pieces or I want to compile them and put them into a book or something. And then I keep feeling like, oh, but who's going to want to buy them? Who's going to want to come and see them because I just think that they're not good enough? Or which gallery would actually even want to exhibit them because I just don't think that they are good enough? And obviously I'm comparing myself to other artists who have more years of training, more years of experience in this. And, I can see the gap there. And immediately, because I think that my work is not good enough, my framework is immediately to be like, I gotta find another way to move forward somehow. And then it occurred to me, because now I've been spending, almost every day working on these works, it occurred to me then that, well, if this is the thing that I want to do, if this is the path that I really want to be on, if I have decided that this is the kind of path that I choose to be on as an artist, that I want to make works that really inspire people, that change something about the way they see the world, then I need to devote myself 100% to that. And if I feel that the works are not good enough, then it's about directly figuring out how to make them good enough, rather than having a backup plan as like a voice coach so that I can still earn a living. And like I said, there's no right or wrong answers here, but more and more as I reflected on this and as I worked on my works, I started to feel like me being a voice coach, as much as I enjoy it as well. I mean, I enjoy the coaching part. I'm not so sure I enjoy the part where I work on people's voices. At least not the physical voice, maybe the creative voice, because being a creative coach actually is one of the things that I have been meaning to do for many years now, but always felt that, I wasn't ready or I didn't have the time. And now that I'm at this place, it's like, yeah, if I want to be an artist and if I want my work to be able to have that kind of effect on people who view them, then I need to devote myself to that. And how is being a voice coach actually going to forward that? Because other than the financial aspect of it, it doesn't really forward that. It's like I'm spending hours, coaching other people on their voice and reading up on these things about the voice and all that in order to make sure that I'm up to date. But then, that time, if I were to devote it instead into putting in more hours of practice, working on more series of works at the same time and not just this one series, which is taking up all my studio time right now, maybe something could be different. And what if I spend that time instead also like, going to galleries and showing my work, or figuring out, how am I going to get more murals done or something, then who knows where that might lead. And yes, the money problem is always going to be a problem. I think for all of us, it's always going to be a problem because this is the world that we live in. But one thing that I'm seeing also when I read the books on mastery is that if we need a day job, if we need to do something in order to earn a living, we need to also find something that would still forward us in that direction and that path that we want to take. So it's not that, I can't do singing lessons or voice coaching as a way to earn a living, but it's more like, the time that I spend there, if it's not related to, my path as an artist, then it's kind of, it doesn't add up. Over time, where being a voice coach leads to and where being an artist leads to are two completely different paths. And so when I started to see that this week, it was like, oh my gosh, is that why I've been feeling so stretched and so all over the place? Because I'm basically trying to walk two paths and not managing either of them very well. I mean, I always do the best that I can in anything that I take on, So I give everything that I've got to both paths, and it's basically starting to take its toll. And I've reached a point now where it's like, okay, I gotta choose. I gotta make a decision, and I gotta be clear what that is. And that's where I start to see that it's really, at the end of the day, we have to be very honest with ourselves and ask ourselves, where is it that we want to go? What is it that we envision ourselves to be doing for the rest of our lives? Because yes, I can be a voice coach now, but what if, I amass like 100 regular clients or something? Like, I can't just give up on them and bail on them just because I decide to change my mind, about my path. And that wouldn't be fair to them, and that wouldn't be fair to me either if, all along my path and my dream was to go all out into the art side of things, but because of my fear of, inadequacy or not good enough, I am like trying to do two different things, hoping that one of them would pan out, when actually isn't it better to like, fully go into one thing and make it work than trying to like half-ass both things. I don't know. I'm trying to full-ass both things. It's just been tough. Yeah. So anyway, I guess the point of today's video is that, we have to figure out exactly where we want to go. We have to figure out exactly what is the path that we want to be on. And as far as possible, ensuring that every single thing that we do, like really every single thing that we do, lines us on that path somehow. Even if, you need to find a day job to pay the bills, like the best kind of day job to have is something that would still forward you on your path. And of course, I can't tell you what that path is, My path as an artist is not going to be the same as your path as an artist. Even if we work in the same media, even if we have the same themes in our work, our paths are not going to be exactly the same. It's very unique to you, and it's something that we have to figure out and tweak things as we go along, and learn how to just let go of what doesn't serve that path anymore. So I am still holding on to that title of voice coach for the time being. I shall see how that goes over the next couple of weeks. But in the meantime, I'm still here. So if you have enjoyed today's video, subscribe to my channel on YouTube. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the comments, or you can also directly message me through any one of my social media links, which are in the write-ups attached to these videos. And I will see you next week.